Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where I'm back with more Korean transforming robot toys, because I just can't get enough, apparently. Then again, I kind of went through a similar phase about a year ago, so I guess this isn't that out of character for me. But anyway, today we're taking a look at Hello Carbot Sky Gunner. This guy is interesting. I've got some gripes, which I will get into, though I will say I am surprised. This is probably the most well-articulated Hello Carbot figure I've seen. But for now, we're looking at his vehicle mode, and his vehicle mode is this weird seaplane, futuristic military thing. The reason I say seaplane is because it kind of looks like he's got little skis on the side for, like, landing on water, but that's probably not the case. It's an interesting vehicle mode. I do think it's kind of cool, and I like how the robot mode is effectively completely covered up. Like, if you don't know what's what on the robot, then you don't really know what you're looking at. But the way it transforms is really interesting because virtually none of what's here gets covered up when he turns into a robot. So this is just his robot mode folded out to look like a plane. It's very effective. I like the colors. Of course, blue and yellow, very complementary. The silver accents things nicely. I do like the green, though it's weird. I feel like the translucent green that they use on the pods on the sides here works much better because it comes off as brighter. But here in the middle, I don't know if it's just because it's surrounded by black detailing, but this green comes off as much darker and it just kind of bleeds together with the black detailing. I kind of think like a lighter color, maybe even silver would have worked better there, but then it would have been a lot of silver, so I don't know. Though it is kind of cool how it's got that kind of two-tiered effect, like there'd be one person here, one person up here. It's an interesting shape, has no proper tail fin, but does have the stabilizers. I think these are stabilizers on the back. Another thing that's kind of cool is because of the way this transforms and the way the robot mode works, these wings can actually rotate 360 degrees. Like you can all the way around, because that's what becomes the shoulder. That's actually pretty cool because you can do stuff like pretend it's got like a vertical takeoff ability, or you can pretend that it's like some kind of hover jet, and so you can angle the wings forward to have it move forward, that kind of thing. It's pretty neat. And because of the way the sculpt works around here, it really doesn't break things up too much to rotate the wings around. You're not separating big chunks of the wing from other big chunks of the wing that are molded into the side there. There is a lot of nice molded detail all throughout. On the one hand, you know, there is that temptation that I always have to go in and panel line, but I kind of feel like with the way that the colors are broken up on this guy so much, it's not really necessary. But yeah, it's a pretty neat, pretty effective plane. I like it. So let's move him back there so we can see how he stacks up size-wise to a bunch of other things. Surprising absolutely no one at this point, I'm sure. Here he is with a standard Transformers Deluxe, and he is much bigger than a Deluxe. Here he is with an older Hello Carbot toy, in this case Ponymeister, and he's, I guess, takes up a larger amount of space because of the wingspan, but he is noticeably smaller. And here he is with the duck tank. Alright, transformation time. So you can leave these guns pegged in here. They are actually pegged into the fists, but just for the heck of it and for the sake of ease, I'm just gonna pop these off, leave them off to the side for now. They tab in up here and peg in down here. And then this big gun going down the center here comes off, as well as these little blue panels on the back here. So as you pop that out, there we go. You can see that comes off, and there you can actually see some more robot junk. And this transforms slightly by popping these panels in. They actually kind of snap into place when you're going into the plane mode. And then they will peg in right here. These tabs will peg in right there. So bring that in, and there you go. And now we can get to the plane proper. So first, you want to disconnect what becomes the legs, and this top cockpit section here is what pegs in right around here. So pull that up, and there you can see the little clip. Swing that around. And I was messing around with this before. Okay, well, first, split the legs. Split the legs. Split, there we go. Clips very tightly. Split the legs, rotate the cockpit section forward, and that will also bring down a heel. Flip these forward. And this was the thing that I was wondering looking at the toy in videos. I was hoping that these could flip back behind the leg so they didn't have these weird things kind of sticking out, like really weird disconnected knee pads. But because of the way that this piece is molded, it's got a flat edge there, so that will not bend around. You could probably file it down so it can bend backwards, but I'm not going to do that right now. These engines swing around to the back, and as they swing around, they rotate. And this tab plugs in right behind the cap there. So swing that in, plug that in, and that cleans up the leg surprisingly nicely. Move that around, swing it, and plug it in, and there he's got legs. Now, what I was going to say before is I was thinking, oh, let me see if I can do a proper, gerwalk with this guy, because he does still have this bit of plane here. Well, you can bend the legs forward this far, and you can kind of, sort of get a gerwalk going, and the feet are big enough that it keeps them from tipping over, so there is that. I was kind of hoping that maybe you could bend the knees forward a bit, but the knees do not bend forward any further than this. And I was thinking, okay, well, if I turn the leg around, it'll be, inside out, but maybe that'll work. But no, you can't do that, because when the legs get to here, they stop rotating. There's some kind of catch inside that prevents the leg from turning more than 90 degrees. Going in either direction, you cannot rotate the legs any further than that. So this is as good a gerwalk mode as you can get. I mean, you can also bring the arms down, but yeah, it's a little disappointing. I kind of wish that it could just angle forward a little bit more and get the proper kind of gerwalk position, but it's a children's toy for a Korean TV series. This doesn't ruin the toy for me or anything like that. Anyway, moving on to the upper body section. I want to disconnect this section from up here. It just pulls down and it tabs in. There's the tab there that goes in there. There's also a tab here that goes in there. So you pull that down, rotate it, and then rotate this around, so now you've got the fist facing up, and then this disconnects and swivels around, and that will peg in to give him his shoulder. And same deal here, just show it from this angle, pull it down, and there you can see the tab, rotate the bicep, rotate the fist, and fold the wing around, and there, shoulders. And lastly, as you might expect, the canopy in the front comes down and clips into place right here to give him his chest and reveal the head. So there we have Hello Carbot's Sky Gunner in his robot mode, and this is a very interesting looking robot mode. He's got these extremely skinny legs, really skinny biceps, but then he's got the chunky forearms, the really chunky shoulders, kind of a chunky comparatively torso, but then the tiny head. It's very strange proportions on this guy, but the skinny legs in particular are not as bad in person as I thought they were going by videos and pictures. When you look at him from the side, there's more depth than width to these legs, but it works. And as I said, he's probably the most well-articulated Hello Carbot figure that I've seen, because like you saw, just by virtue of the transformation, the arms actually have elbows that go pretty far. You got in and out motion, which isn't great, but it does have in and out motion. It's got bicep swivels, which is there are so few Carbots that have bicep swivels. It's got wrist articulation, and of course the full shoulder rotation. Got a ball-jointed head, and I know it's weird for me to show off articulation, but just bear with me, because that's kind of one of the features of this guy. Nothing at the waist, which, given how he transforms, I think that's okay, though they probably could have put something there. Then for the legs, you've got the in and out, the forward and back, a thigh swivel, pretty decent knee bend, and if you get the little rocket pod thing out of the way, you can get a much deeper knee bend. And then the toe can kind of point, and it does stop here, so you don't have to worry about it flopping around too much, but it does lock in this position, so this is very loose if you point it like that. But yeah, the articulation on this guy is surprisingly good for a Carbot. Getting back to the aesthetics, because that's really the whole point of these videos, he has these funny little cockpit feet, and it doesn't bother me too much. In this case, the darkness of the shades coming together actually works in its benefit, I think. It makes them read as feet without necessarily being oh, that's a plane cockpit that he's walking on. You still have that nice plane detailing for the legs, but now you've got this nice molded detail on the inside too, which looks really good. The sticky outy knee pads are a bit weird to me still. I kind of wish that they either were closer to the knee or could flip around the back, but as I said, they can't. So they have to stick out like that, and it's a little weird, but not the worst. Nondescript technological detailing in the thighs and the midsection. I particularly like these kind of power cell engine rib effects that are molded in here. I don't know why, I just like that effect in particular. And he has the entire cockpit section, front cockpit section for chest. Forearms are pretty nice. There's some engine detailing on the side because these were the engines. Some nice revealed molded detail on the inside there from where it was plugged in. The fists are kind of like Combiner Wars Rook fists in that they're just engines. And then there's like a little fist hole molded in there. And it kind of, you can see fingers there a little bit. I actually don't mind it too much because it can kind of read as fists just because of the big peg holes there when you're looking at them from a distance. But it also makes it easy to hide the fists if you want to do certain poses and things like that, which I will show off what I'm talking about when we get to the accessories. Yeah, it's an interesting balance that they managed to strike here. There is some nice detailing on the shoulder in here, not much on the inside of the wing, but that's because it's meant to fold around and cover up some of that. The shoulders are strange. They're very big, and he's got these weird pods sticking off the ends. Ideally, I think it would have been cooler if the wing kind of came in a little bit more and kind of tucked down over this a little bit more, because it kind of looks like these are his shoulders, just like this, and then he just has plain wings sticking on top of them. It's not bad, it just seems a little bit superfluous, but it's something that was done with wing kibble that I don't really see that often, so yeah, this is fine. It's, if nothing else, they're trying something different. And he's actually surprisingly clean. Like, there's the wing kibble on the shoulders, but like, if you look around the back, there's really nothing there. He's got the boosters back here, but those are just kind of filling in the calves and also can kind of double as like little jet boosts for when he's in robot mode. So, I'm willing to say that he is an incredibly clean, kibble-wise robot. Again, these are a bit much, but it doesn't get in the way of anything. Lastly, there's the head, which kind of it's slightly evocative of a fighter pilot helmet. It's got the green visor that kind of looks like the goggles or visor from a flight helmet, and the little face mask that also kind of looks like the breathing apparatus that's attached to a fighter pilot face mask. So it kind of reads like that, though obviously with the robotic stuff going on. But then there's some weird stuff happening, like the ears that are kind of strange, and the strange yellow sideburns. I don't really know what you'd call that. I mean, it's not a bad head. I don't know what I would change about it, but I do like that he's got kind of a fighter pilot homage going on in there. Colors are nice. Bringing in a little bit of that yellow detailing I think was a good call. It's just weird placement. The light piping block being visible from the top front of the head is a little bit but whatever. Not a bad head, all things considered. Some nice little detailing in there, and like I said, I appreciate the obvious but still kind of necessary homage. Looking at the accessories, starting with the big ol' cannon here, there is this peg you can fold down, and you can put that in his fist, and then he has a big gun that he can't really do much with, just because of the fact that this plate here comes up so far, it hits against the shoulder, so you can't really do too much with it in terms of like elbow bends, but he can hold it, and it just barely manages to line up with his feet, so it scrapes slightly against the surface when you have it like that. But if you fold the handle back in, there's this square recess here that can peg over this clip for the feet when he goes into jet mode, and that stores it on his back, and it kind of makes it look like he's got a little bit of an ornate butt skirt, which is fine. The thing that kind of bothers me with this in particular is the fact that the cannon sticks up so high above his head. Now that I've adjusted my shelves, he can fit vertically in that space with the cannon on his back, but it still doesn't look quite right to me. I kind of think it'd be cooler if it was slightly off center. Maybe if it was like pegged back here, or maybe at an angle or something like that, but whatever. You can kind of fudge it to peg it on the back going this way, but this little nub pushes up against the back so it won't sit flush. That is an option if you want to have it going around that way, and that kind of looks more ridiculous. As for the tiny guns, he can hold them, but there are also these pegs on the top of the shoulders, so if you wanted to, you could peg them up there so that he has shoulder guns, and that's fine, but my problem with this is they stick out too far. I appreciate that the functionality is there, but it doesn't quite do it for me. Another option, if you really wanted to, is you can peg these into his shoulders here, because it's a peg hole that the handles actually fit into. It's interesting. I kind of like how it covers the what's going on in the shoulders here a little bit. It kind of, I don't want to say it looks better. It's just an interesting way to kind of integrate more design elements into the shoulders, but these guns stick up just way too far. It's not bad looking, it's just with, again, the big alfalfa cannon sticking up behind his head is a little bit eh. So what I like to do is take these off, take this off, and you can plug these guns into this bit back here. In the directions and in the videos that I've seen, people plug them in like this along the top here, so you can give him a big gun that he can hold and shoot and all that, and that's fine. What I actually prefer to do myself is come in from the other side, because you can totally still access the peg holes down here. So I'll peg the guns in underslung. And what I like about that is it still gives you the 3-gun barrel effect, but now it's still covered, like all this mess is kind of covered here, and it kind of feels like this is where it's supposed to be, because this is where the exposed gun bits are already. But anyway, with things like this, yeah, he still can't bend his elbow when he's holding it, but what I was saying about how the way these fists are made so that you can kind of angle them and they can look not like fists, what I like to do is angle the fist out and plug it into the fist going this way. Now it kind of looks like, instead of him holding the gun, it's more like he has one big gun arm. And that's cool, I really like that. That's actually how I tend to have this guy displayed. And you get a little bit of play too with the angles involved, and because the peg there, so you can actually rotate this slightly to accommodate the space and movement up there. And you get a fair bit of options with this guy, which is really cool. He is a neat-looking robot once I kind of figured out how I want to have him situated. It's just figuring out what to do with all of this that was my initial problem. And it's, again, not that he looks bad with the cannon on his back and the individual guns in each hand, but I'm just not a huge fan of the giant spire sticking up from behind his head. So this speaks to me. Anyway, now that he is a robot, he is, of course, taller. And if you're familiar with Carbots and Tobots and all that, then you know that this is big, but it's not particularly big for a Carbot or Tobot. Case in point, here he is with Ponymeister, who is admittedly, yes, not huge in comparison, and Carbots, generally speaking, are a bit smaller than Tobots in the grand scheme of things, but there's definitely more mass to Ponymeister than to Skygunner. And then, of course, here he is with the duck tank. Alright, that's gonna do it for Hello Carbot Skygunner. I actually did the accessories. How strange, I know. I do feel like, first of all, the accessories are kind of an important part. At least the central cannon is kind of an important part of the vehicle mode, so it kind of seemed important to cover that. But also, I feel like using the accessories in different ways can alter the look of the figure in really interesting ways. And yeah, his design's a little weird here and there, but it has grown on me. I've kind of made peace with the knee pads that stick way out. I'd still think it'd be great if they could slide in a little bit more or angle around the back, but I have gotten used to them. The skinny legs, as I said, not as bad in person. Once you get him into a decent pose, he looks pretty awesome. And, you know, because he's got so much articulation, it's actually not that hard to get him into a decent looking pose, so long as you work around this thing. But anyway, that is going to do it. I'm curious to know what you all think of Skygunner here. Feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.